The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Riverside Coffee House, casting golden patterns of light and shadow across the polished wooden floors. The air carried the rich aroma of freshly ground beans and warm pastries, mingling with the low hum of conversation and the occasional hiss of the espresso machine. Andrew Carter sat at his usual corner table near the window, the one with the best view of the bustling street outside. At 56, with salt and pepper hair and the quiet confidence of someone who had built an empire, he had learned to cherish these quiet Saturday mornings. They were his sanctuary, 2 precious hours before emails, meetings, and the demands of Carter Development Corporation could pull him back into the world of skyscrapers and multi-million-dollar deals. Beside him perched his 7-year-old daughter, Grace, in her favorite pink sweater, her light brown hair neatly braided into pigtails. She was midway through an elaborate tale about her friend Emma's new puppy, a golden retriever named Max who apparently could fetch slippers, chase squirrels, and perform somersaults on command. Andrew listened with a soft smile, nodding at all the right moments. These moments with Grace were everything. For years ago, cancer had stolen his wife, Margaret, leaving a void that still ached on quiet nights. But Grace, with her boundless energy and unfiltered honesty, kept him anchored. Margaret had always said Grace was their little light, and she was right. That's when Andrew noticed the commotion near the entrance. A woman had just walked in, moving carefully on crutches. She wore a striking red dress that hugged her figure elegantly, the kind of bold choice that turned heads for all the right reasons. Her light brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, framing a face that might have been in her late 30s, sharp features softened by fatigue. Even from across the room, Andrew could see the prosthetic leg extending from beneath the hem of her dress, sleek, black, and mechanical. She maneuvered with determination, but the effort was clear in the tight set of her shoulders. The coffee shop was packed with the usual Saturday crowd, families, couples, laptop warriors claiming tables for hours. The woman scanned the room for an empty seat, her eyes moving from table to table with growing disappointment. Most patrons suddenly became fascinated with their phones or conversations, that peculiar social dance where no one wanted to acknowledge someone in need. Grace had stopped mid-sentence about the puppy. She was watching too, her small brow furrowed. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging his sleeve. "That lady looks tired." "She does," Andrew agreed quietly. They watched as the woman reached the counter, ordered a latte, and turned back to face the sea of occupied tables. Every seat was taken. The few solo occupants had strategically placed bags or jackets on empty chairs, a universal do not disturb signal. Andrew saw the exact moment her composure cracked. Her shoulders sagged, and she stared down at her coffee as if debating whether to stand and drink it or simply leave. Before he could overthink it, Andrew stood. "Excuse me," he called, loud enough to carry over the din. "Would you like to sit here? We have an extra chair." The woman looked up, surprise flickering across her face, quickly followed by cautious relief. She glanced at Grace, then back at Andrew, assessing. "I don't want to intrude," she said, her voice soft but steady. "You're not," Andrew replied. "Please. We'd be happy to share." She made her way over slowly, and Andrew resisted the urge to rush forward and help. His sister, who had lost an arm in a car accident years ago, had drilled it into him. Disabled people aren't helpless. The best help is often just space and normalcy. When she reached the table, she leaned her crutches against the wall and lowered herself into the chair with careful precision. For a split second, pain flashed across her features, the raw kind that came from a body pushed beyond its current limits. "Thank you," she said, genuine gratitude warming her hazel eyes. "Really? Thank you." "I'm Andrew," he said, extending a hand. "This is my daughter, Grace." "Claire," she replied, shaking his hand firmly. She turned to Grace with a smile. "That's a beautiful braid. I used to wear my hair like that when I was your age." Grace beamed. "Daddy did it. He's getting really good." At first, they were all bumpy and weird. Claire laughed, a real, unexpected sound that lit up her tired face. "I bet he is. Practice makes perfect. That's what Daddy says about everything," Grace chimed in. He says you have to practice being brave, too. Claire's smile softened, something vulnerable flickering in her eyes. Your daddy is a very smart man. They fell into a comfortable silence, sipping their drinks. Andrew sensed Claire valued her privacy. He wouldn't pry. But Grace, with a child's boundless curiosity and zero social filters, had no such reservations. Does your leg hurt? She asked bluntly, pointing at the prosthetic. Grace, Andrew said gently. Remember what we talked about? Some questions are private. It's okay, Claire interjected, though Andrew noticed the slight tension in her posture. It's natural to be curious. She looked at Grace kindly. Sometimes it does hurt, yes. But mostly it's just different. I'm still learning how to use it properly. It's only been 6 months. What happened? Grace pressed. Grace. It's really okay, Claire assured him, her smile genuine now. I was in a car accident. A bad one. The doctors did everything they could, but in the end, they had to amputate below the knee. She shrugged lightly. But you know what?
I'm lucky. I'm alive.
I can still do most things I love. It just takes a little longer now. My mommy died, Grace said matter-of-factly, with the blunt honesty only children possess. So, I think you're lucky too. Because you're still here. Claire's eyes glistened suddenly. She blinked rapidly. I'm so sorry about your mommy, sweetheart. That must be very hard. It is, Grace nodded. But Daddy says we have to keep going, because that's what Mommy would want. We have to find the good things even when everything's sad. Your daddy is right, Claire said softly. That's exactly what we have to do. Andrew caught Claire's gaze then. A quiet recognition of shared grief, the understanding of what it meant to force yourself forward when part of you wanted to collapse. So, you're practicing being brave too? Grace asked. Claire nodded. Every single day. Some days are easier than others. Is today a hard day? Claire glanced around the crowded shop. It started as one, yes. I've been avoiding places like this, public spots, crowds. This is the first time in 6 months I've tried to be normal again. Dress like I used to, not hide under baggy clothes. You look beautiful, Grace declared sincerely. That dress is so pretty. Claire's hand drifted to the red fabric, smoothing it self-consciously. Thank you, sweetheart. I wasn't sure if it was too much. If people would think I was trying too hard, or that it was inappropriate somehow. Too much for what? Andrew asked, genuinely puzzled. For someone like me, Claire said quietly. Someone who's incomplete. Andrew leaned forward slightly. You're not incomplete. You're different from who you were 6 months ago, but you're not less. Claire studied him for a long moment. Do you really believe that, or are you just being kind? He considered his words carefully, aware Grace was listening, absorbing. I believe we are more than our bodies. What makes someone whole or beautiful has little to do with limbs. My wife, Margaret, before she passed, the chemotherapy took her hair, her strength, her weight. She barely resembled the woman I'd married. But she was never more beautiful to me than in those final months. I could see her spirit so clearly, her courage, her love, her refusal to waste a single moment. He paused, emotion tightening his throat. Both Claire and Grace hung on his words. You walked in here today, dressed beautifully, facing a room full of strangers when staying home would have been easier. That takes real strength. That makes you beautiful. Not the dress, but the choice to show up for your life. A single tear escaped down Claire's cheek. She wiped it away quickly.
I'm sorry.
I don't usually cry in public. Or accept kindness from strangers. Maybe it's time to start, Andrew said gently. Daddy cries sometimes, Grace offered helpfully. He tries to be quiet, but I hear him at night. He says it's okay, because it means you loved someone a lot. Claire laughed through fresh tears. Your daughter is wonderful. She is, Andrew agreed, pulling Grace into a quick side hug. She keeps me honest. After a beat, Claire asked, Can I ask you something? Why did you invite me over? Most people. She gestured vaguely at the room. Most people look away. They don't want to see the crutches, the prosthetic. I make them uncomfortable, so they pretend I'm invisible.
Andrew thought about it.
People are afraid of saying the wrong thing, of staring, of intruding. They think ignoring is kinder. But Margaret taught me that invisibility is one of the cruelest things you can do to someone. Everyone deserves to be seen. I've felt very invisible lately, Claire. Did you get the job? Andrew asked. They said they'd call. Her smile was bitter. They haven't. 15 years of experience, awards, buildings I'd designed from the ground up, but none of that mattered. All they saw was what I'm missing. Andrew reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card, sliding it across the table. Claire glanced at it, then looked up, eyes widening. You're Andrew Carter? Carter Development Corporation. Guilty, he said with a small smile. Everyone in architecture knows you. Your company built half this city's skyline. My teams did, yes. I thought you looked familiar, but I figured I was imagining it. Why didn't you say something earlier? Because it didn't matter. You needed a seat. I had one. The rest is just details. Claire laughed despite herself. I just poured my heart out to the CEO of one of the biggest development firms in the state about not being able to get hired. This is mortifying. Don't be, Andrew said. I'm always looking for talented architects. Good ones are rare. Send your portfolio to the email on that card. My head of architecture, Patricia Chun, will review it fairly. If your work is strong, we'll find a place for you. I don't want charity. It's not charity. I don't do charity hires. I do smart business. A prosthetic leg is irrelevant to designing buildings.
Claire stared at the card.
Why are you doing this? Because you survived something that could have killed you, and 6 months later you're here, in a red dress, reclaiming your life. That tells me you're resilient. Resilient people don't quit when things get hard. And different experiences make teams stronger. Grace tugged Andrew's sleeve. Daddy, I like Claire. Can she be our friend? Andrew looked at Claire, raising an eyebrow. What do you say? Friends with a 7-year-old and her old dad. Claire's laugh was bright, joyful.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. They talked for another hour. About Claire's designs, Andrew's treehouse project in the backyard, built with YouTube tutorials and Grace's supervision. Margaret's legacy foundation for cancer families. When they finally parted, Claire squeezed Andrew's hand. Thank you. For seeing me, not just the disability. I think I understand, he replied. Margaret hated how people spoke to me instead of her near the end, as if she'd become invisible. She taught me the greatest gift is to truly see someone, all of them. Your wife was wise.
She was.
And I think she'd have liked you. Over the following weeks, Saturday mornings at Riverside became a ritual for the three of them. Claire sent her portfolio. Within days, Patricia Chun called with an offer, senior architect, full salary matching her experience, leading design on a new downtown medical complex. Patricia said your hospital project from 5 years ago is the best she's seen in a decade, Andrew told her one Saturday, as Grace colored beside them. I can't believe this is real, Claire whispered. 2 months ago, I thought my career was over. It never was, Andrew said. You just needed someone to see past the surface. You did more than that. You gave me back my confidence. Reminded me I still have value. You always did. We just helped you remember. Spring warmed into summer. Their friendship grew beyond coffee. Bookstore trips where Grace picked out picture books for all three, movies with extra butter popcorn, park picnics planned with Grace's enthusiastic maps. Andrew found himself anticipating Saturdays with a flutter he hadn't felt in years. Claire's quiet strength, her dry humor, the way her eyes lit up describing a new building concept, it all drew him in. One late July morning, Claire arrived without crutches. She walked with a sleek black cane, steps careful but confident. Grace spotted it first. You did it. You're walking. I am. Claire grinned, settling into her chair. Therapy finally clicked. Still need the cane for balance, but no more crutches. That's amazing, Andrew said, pride swelling in his chest. He'd listened to her stories of painful sessions, setbacks, small triumphs. I couldn't have kept going without you too, she admitted. Knowing I had these Saturdays, people who believed in me, It made the hard days bearable. "We're so proud of you." Grace suddenly piped up. "Daddy, you like Claire. Like, really like her. The way you liked Mommy." Andrew's coffee nearly went down the wrong pipe. Claire flushed pink. "Grace, that's—" "It's okay," Grace interrupted solemnly. "Mommy told me before she—" "Yes," Claire said. "I'd love that." As summer faded into fall, their lives intertwined gently. Claire moved into a senior role that challenged and fulfilled her. Andrew found balance he'd lost years ago. Work still mattered, but Saturdays with Grace and Claire mattered more. One crisp October evening, after tucking Grace in, Andrew and Claire sat on his porch, watching leaves drift. "I never thought I'd feel whole again," Claire said softly, leaning against him. "You were always whole," he replied, kissing her temple. "Just waiting for the right people to remind you." In the quiet, with Grace's laughter echoing from earlier play, they both knew Margaret would approve. Life, with all its losses and surprises, had given them a new beginning, one built on kindness, courage, and the simple power of being truly seen.